there. Okay, so this week in Such Days we're going to be learning about the national, state, and local government leaders. Once we are done today, you're going to go into quizzes and you're going to play a little game to just see how much you remember and how closely you listen to what was being said today. So, let's get started. Okay, the first leader we are going to learn about is, of course, our President of the United States, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the leader of our entire country, and he has many powers. He makes treaties with foreign governments and serves as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. He also approves and disapproves of the laws that the legislature passes. He can also appoint people to head up the major departments of the government, and these people form the presidential cabinet. So he appoints the people who are like the Secretary of Treasury, and they are the people who, take care of all the money matters relating to our federal government, so our country as a whole. The Attorney General, he sees over the federal judicial system. The Secretary of Education, she puts into place federal programs and policies for your education. And then also, another one is like the Secretary of Defense, and he has command and authority over the whole U.S. military. So the president will consult with his cabinet, but they're not members of the legislature. And so the president is not necessarily required to meet with them. So they do their job, but he doesn't necessarily have to meet with them when he wants to do something. And then we have the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. And Mike Pence is the second in command to the president. The president is the commander-in-chief. The vice president is responsible for filling in for the president and acting as the president in the U.S. Senate. So the president can't be everywhere, so the vice president will go and he will act like the president of the U.S. Senate. And like the president, the vice president, he will serve 4 years, just like the president does. He can be reelected to another term, and he's usually chosen as the running mate for the president during their campaign. The vice president also must be, born in the United States. He must be at least 35 years old, and he must live in the United States for at least 14 years. And, the president lives in the White House. The vice president necessarily doesn't, and he lives, in another place right there in Washington. Okay? And then we are coming to our state government. And our governor's name is Greg Abbott. You've probably seen quite a bit of him on the news these days because he is in charge of our state. Okay? And in the United States, a governor is the head of the government of the state, or in some places, the territory. Like presidents, the governor oversees the executive branch of the government. The executive branch is the branch that executes or carries out the laws. Governors are elected by the people, so we elect our governor and put them in office. Most governors will serve 4 terms, and then they can run again. Now, I thought it was interesting that New Hampshire and Vermont, the governors only serve 2 years, and then they can run again. And in every state but Virginia, the governor may be reelected to a consecutive term, so they may run back to back. But in Virginia, they're not allowed to. They have to take time off, and then they can run again. Okay. The exact duties of the state governor depend on the laws of that state. So each law has different each state has different laws. So the governor has to, their duties are decided by the laws that are within that state. Nevertheless, all U.S. governors have similar powers. Governors approve and enforce the laws passed by the state legislature. They appoint state officials, so the people who take care of the different, how the president has his cabinet. Well, there are different offices or different duties that people in Texas have to take care of because, of course, the governor can't do it all. And so he appoints those people that he trusts to take care of these different, parts of Texas. like the education agency. We have someone in Texas who's in charge of just making sure that our education is running okay. Our finances, so we have like our Secretary of Treasury, I'm sure. We have an Attorney General in Texas, so they they take care of all of those different aspects of the state. They oversee the budget for the state. They also manage emergencies such as natural disasters in the state. So the governor, he lives in Texas. He lives in the governor's mansion right there in Austin, our state capital. And so when there is a disaster or something, or even like this coronavirus, he really is the one calling the shots on what we can do as a state. So he has to listen to what the president says, and then he makes the decisions based on the state and what is best for Texas. And then we have the Lieutenant Governor of Texas. His name is Dan Patrick, and he's kind of like Mike Pence. He's kind of like the Vice President is to the President. He's the second in command to our governor. So in the United States, a lieutenant governor is a person who serves as the second in command to the governor and takes the governor's place if he is unable to serve for some reason. For example, if a governor gets sick, dies, or has to leave office, the lieutenant governor usually takes his place. So, right now we have the coronavirus going on. If, Governor Abbott gets sick or something or has to leave office for some reason, then the lieutenant governor will take over during his absence. His other duties may range from serving as a Senate officer to making public appearances on behalf of his state. So he will go out and he will make himself seen and known that he is from Texas, and he will tell people what we want them to know. In fact, a lieutenant governor's duties may vary from state to state, as each state may create its own requirements for those who fill this position. There are even some states who do not have lieutenant governors, but I can understand why Texas has one. We're a very, very big state, and so we need that representation. We need, someone to help our governor when making important decisions. The Texas Attorney General, his name is Ken Paxton, and Ken Paxton is the state's Attorney General, and he is responsible for enforcing the law in the state. The Attorney General is the chief legal representative for the state and serves as the general counsel for most of the state's government agencies. So he's kind of like the lawyer for all the government agencies. Okay. Each state's Attorney General manages all legal representation of the state in civil and criminal matters on the state and federal level. So he's really the one who, if someone has a grievance against the state of Texas or something, he's the one who's going to step up and represent the state of Texas. Most attorney generals manage specific assistance programs throughout the state. And now we have moved our way into an even smaller area because, President Trump is in charge of the whole United States, and then we have Greg Abbott, he oversees everything for the state of Texas, and now we're here in Rosenberg. And our mayor is William Benton, and you've probably seen a lot of him too, as our government officials are being seen a lot more as we're making decisions about the state of our community. A mayor is the head of the municipality, which is a city or a town. So he's the head of our town. Like presidents and governors, mayors often oversee the executive branch of the local government. So he's the one who oversees everything that happens within Richmond and Rosenberg. The executive branch executes and carries out the law. So they're the ones who make the laws here in Rosenberg, and they're the ones who make sure that we follow these laws. However, many mayors also lead the city or town council. So the city council, we do have a city council, and I'll show you a picture of them later. And they act as the legislative branch of the local government. The legislative branch makes the laws. So there are laws that are specific to our area, and the city council is the one who makes those laws. The city manager, this is John Marish, and John Marish is pretty much the one who he takes charge of the everyday workings of our city government. He is sometimes referred to as the administrative manager or the chief operating officer of a city's government. So he's really down there day to day making sure everything's running smoothly. In most municipalities, managers are not elected to the position, but are specifically hired. So he was hired to do this job. And then we have our Rosenberg City Council. And so there are 7 members, and I'm assuming there's 7 members because when we want to vote on something, you need a majority. And if you had 6, it would be a tie. So the City Council is a form of government that is used in many towns and cities around the world. The members of the council are elected by the citizens. So we as the citizens, we elect them into office. And they work together to pass laws that are best for us, to make general policies, supervise city government, and appropriate funds for various needs. So they decide which money needs to go where, they make the laws that are specific to our area, and they make sure that the government, the police force, the fire department, all of those people are running smoothly and they have what they need. The work of a council is usually supported by a number of specialized commissions that focus on specific issues like police, urban planning, and public works. Typically, the council meetings are open to the public and the public input is welcome. So if you have a concern or something that you want to see changed, you can go to a town meeting or a council hall meeting or town hall meeting or a council meeting, and you can, ask for them to hear what you want to say, and they will listen to you and consider it or give you reasons why it'll work and why it won't work, or if you don't like something that's going on, then you absolutely, as a citizen with your freedom of speech, have that right. Now, something else, I'm going to go back to this picture right here, because this is something very cool that I learned while I was researching. This young man right here in this green shirt, his name is Jacob Valderas. And Jacob Valderas was elected into the city council when he was only 19. And because he was only 19 when he was elected into office, he was the youngest person at that time to ever be elected into a government position in the state of Texas. So he was just barely out of high school when he did this. So that's pretty amazing. All right. So now we have learned about our different local, state, and national governments and just some of the leaders within these, some of the big leaders, the big names that run our government. And so now you are going to go and you're going to go to your quizzes and see just how much you remember about what you just learned. I can't wait to see how well you do. Bye!